Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'. Alhamdulillah, marilah sama-sama kita bersyukur kehadrat Allah Subhanahu wa ta'ala kerana pada hari ini kita dapat bersama-sama dalam program Islamic Finance Lecture Series yang ke-9. Marilah sama-sama kita membuka dengan membaca Ummul Kitab Al-Fatihah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin arrahmanir rahim. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim. Amin.
I welcome everybody. Ahlan wa sahlan. Selamat datang ke Islamic Finance Lecture Series yang ke-9. This Islamic Finance Lecture Series is organized by the Center for Islamic Finance Education and Research, CIFER. And this is the 9th series. And the previous series, from series number 1 to series number 8, was done. Some of them were conducted face-to-face, but since 2020, we have conducted this series online. Among the objectives of CIFER is to disseminate information, especially regarding the contemporary issues in Islamic finance. And this is one of the lecture series that we have conducted to give a chance to students, lecturers, and also the public to gain the knowledge regarding not only the theoretical aspects, but also the practical aspects of the operations of Islamic finance. And we have invited various experts from industries and from institutions to share with us the current issues and the latest development or the contemporary issues in Islamic finance. So, Alhamdulillah, today we have invited speaker Ustaz Anwar bin Ilyas. Ustaz Anwar bin Ilyas has over 14 years of experience in internal Sharia control functions, including Sharia research and advisory, Sharia review, Sharia risk management of Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad. And he's well exposed to Islamic banking and business requirements, including retails, commercial, corporate treasury, capital market, and trade finance. So Ustaz Anwar is currently spearheading Islamic banking windows for Bank Simpanan Nasional, in which covers all activities related to Sharia and Islamic banking, including product development and zakat management. Without further ado, let's welcome Ustaz Anwar bin Ilyas to share with us the invaluable knowledge and information regarding contemporary issues in Islamic banking and finance. Dipersilakan, falyatafaddal ma'jura. Oh, sorry, I forgot to. Okay. Sorry. Okey, dipersilakan Ustaz Anwar Ilyas. Falyatafaddal.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin wa bihi nasta'in ala umuri dunya waddin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli, amma ba'd. Jazakallahu khairan katsira Profesor Yusuf, Dr. Yusuf Haji Osman, Dr. Tahir, Cik Omar, and the rest of participants today. I believe this is something that I need to share with all of you, that regarding Islamic finance and also some of my experience in the bank. So previously, before joining BSN, Bank Simpanan Nasional, I've served Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad for 13 years. And since 2020, I've make a move to Bank Simpanan Nasional as an Islamic window. Of course, the intention is to spearhead the full conversion of BSN towards full-fledged Islamic development financial institution as a saving bank in Malaysia. So thank you for the organizer for this particular opportunity. And I believe this is the what we do in Cypher. We share, we get the experience from others to equip ourselves in terms of knowledge in Islamic finance. All right. Okay, what we want to achieve today, of course, I've outlined 5 objectives, which is number 1, we want to define the Islamic finance ecosystem, whereby this is the overview on what is Islamic finance all about. Number 2, quick revision to relevant Sharia principle and specific requirement, which mean it is a quick one. It is not all, but it is a quick one. All right. Then we want to identify some areas of gaps. Okay. So when we are talking about issues, there are gaps in terms of compliance toward the requirement and also the activities that we do. Of course, because of some innovations, because of what we call al-ibtida in this product, okay, al-muntajat al-islami. So this is the areas that we want to identify, which in which we need to further further review, further research on the requirement, on the flexibility of even Islamic contracts. Okay, so we will focus on that gaps, and also we will have a quick view on the Sharia issues deliberated by Sharia Advisory Council of Bank Negara to get a feel, okay, on the Sharia issues that that have been decided by Sharia Advisory Council of Bank Negara. So I have referred to documents, which is resolution of Sharia in Islamic finance from Sharia Advisory Council of Bank Negara, and also another one is on resolution in 2012 and also 2014. So previously, what we have in Islamic finance, what we have in the Islamic banking fraternity, of course, we do have the compilation of decisions by Sharia Advisory Council of Bank Negara and also Sharia Advisory Council of Securities Commission as overarching documents to comply with the Sharia requirements outlined by the regulators for the players. Okay? And then we have a short conclusion and also takeaways from for all of you for today, because of you are spending time. Okay, you hearing my it is not a lecture, but my sharing here. Okay. All right. So can you look? Can you have this? Is it okay to? So you want to have
Okay, Ustaz Anwar, okay.
all right, okay,
Alhamdulillah.
all right. So we want to have a feel what we are talking about, which sector. Okay, so in Islamic financial system, I highlight here. Okay, so it is a big one. Islamic financial system, of course, there are some segmentation whereby it is focusing on the Islamic banking and services, whereby where I am now, okay, Bank Islam of the banks, you know, this is Islamic banks, and also whoever offers the services for Islamic banks. There are some support unit also in these Islamic banks, Islamic banking and services. And then we do have and in Islamic banking and services, we are talking about deposits, investment, financing, bilateral, syndication. So that is the syndicated financing. Then basically, it is governed under Bank Negara Malaysia. Okay, so this is the where we deal retail, commercial, and also corporate activities to backed by the banks and also several entities related to the bank. For example, we do have agencies, Cagamas, Dana Jamin, we do have SJKP, Syarikat Jaminan Perumahan. Okay, so there are lots of entities that support this Islamic banking and services. Okay, Islamic banking and services. So there are for example, PIDM, Perbadanan Insurance Deposit Malaysia. Okay, they're supporting us in that particular area. Okay, so number 2 is on takaful and re-takaful. Okay, because of this, we consider as Islamic finance, we do have takaful. But you know, the development of takaful, it is a little bit slow compared to Islamic banking because of you know, because of there is an alternative, which is insurance. So that's why in this case, takaful and also re-takaful, there are not much re-takaful companies in Malaysia or in the world right now because of the risk or the capital for that particular re-takaful. It is a big one. It is an issue. Okay, and then number 3 is Islamic interbank money market, whereby between the banks. Okay, why we need money market? Because of the bank need to manage the liquidity issues between them. Okay, so in that particular case, of course, the Islamic interbank money market facilitates the activities between the banks, managing the liquidity, managing the short-term capital for that particular bank. For example, the bank needs some sort of short of cash, so the bank will get each other to have some instruments to get quick capital, okay, for that particular shortage. Okay, so that is the function of Islamic interbank money market. And also, when we say it is not really an investment purpose, but for some perspective, yes, it is like an investment purpose, because of there are people who are deficit in capital, and also there are people who surplus in capital. So it's surplus capital, we serve the deficit unit requirement. So that's why we have to have a money market, but it is for short term only. It is less than 1 year. Okay, so it is to lock this capital for the bank. So and also please note that money market it is a little bit pricey because of it is short, and also it is short term, and you can have some other players as well, which is corporates. For example, the big corporates, MNCs, they are also players in Islamic interbank money market. Okay, and then Islamic capital market. Okay, this Islamic capital market serve the longer period of capital requirement, whereby it is more than 1 year. Then it serves the deficit unit, which is requires some capital for a period of more than 1 year. So in that case, Islamic capital market will have specific regulation by Securities Commission, and this comes to the requirement of sukuk, okay, equity, where Bursa Malaysia comes in, okay. So it is like how corporates, companies get fund from public or from a specific segmentation. So they will have these instruments at the Islamic capital money market governed by Securities Commission. Then we do have also Islamic asset fund management, real estate investment trust, unit trust. So there are lots of venture capital VC in this Islamic asset and fund management. They also have investment unit trust. So this is fund management. Usually is worked by investment banks. So investment bank did have specialties. There are specialties in this fund management and also corporate finance activities. And then the last segment in Islamic financial system is financial inclusion, which is includes the Islamic social finance. So this covers the the part of where in Islamic finance, of course, when we mention Islamic, there are some ta'abbudi activities, means that it is some sort of do good that we have in the financial system. What it is Islamic social finance, which is we have formulated from zakat and also waqaf and also sadaqah in that means, so that these are the areas that requires more intention from the regulators. And then Islamic banking is some sort of the best coordinated, highly regulated entities in delivering this purpose of Islamic social finance. So that's why we have here all the Islamic financial system. In the system, where we call it a system, it is govern all these activities. So Islamic finance issues covers all these areas of Islamic banking, takaful and retakaful, the bank money market, Islamic capital market, and also Islamic asset and also fund management, including Islamic financial inclusion activities in Islamic financial system. So am I too fast for this evening? Please, it's supposed to be interactive session, Prof. So if you have a question, just interrupt and ask question. Okay.
Yes, you can ask questions directly also.
All right. Okay. So we move to the Islamic finance ecosystem. When we mention about ecosystem, there is the definition of players in the market. So Islamic banking system, for example, Islamic banking and services, for example, there are players. Who are the players? Who are the regulators? Who are these relevant act and also regulation related to Islamic banking and finance, for example? Okay, so when we say it is players, okay, for Islamic financial system, for Islamic financial and services, which is related to Islamic banking, the players are Islamic financial institutions. Okay, and even we have Islamic Windows as BSN. BSN is still Islamic Windows after 20 years. Okay, it's still Islamic Windows. Then we do have others in this Islamic banking and finance and services. So when we talk about Islamic banking, players in Islamic banking, regulated by Bank Negara Malaysia and also others as well. There are some jurisdiction in this product. For example, Rohno product. Okay. There are some under Islamic, under Bank Negara, some because of the banks who operates Rohno. But there are some of the license is under KPKT, Kementerian Perumahan dan Kerajaan Tempatan. So they have the separate regulation or requirement under KPKT. So there are players, and we need to identify the players for each particular market. For example, in Islamic capital market, there are players which is the enablers for sukuk issuance, for example. There are investment bank involved. There are Islamic banks involved in terms of Sharia advisory. Okay, so there are Islamic bank involved to advise the issuance of sukuk, for example. And then who are the enablers? They are involving trustees. They are involving legal firm to advise on the legal documents. So there are parties who involved in that particular market. So we have to have a clear picture on the Islamic banking, for example, Takaful, Islamic capital market, who are the players for that particular market. Okay, so that is the ecosystem that we need to understand. If we can identify the players, if we cannot, for example, if we cannot, we fail to understand the market, okay, the market of that particular segmentation. So that is the ideas of understanding the ecosystem. If we can identify which players place is in what market, so you have a general overview on this particular Islamic financial system that we have. So we do have regulators, okay? So each markets have their own regulators, okay? So there are Takaful, for example, is still Bank Negara Malaysia, and also MTA, Majlis Malaysian Takaful Association. So they have their own we call regulation to be complied with by. There are issues as well in terms of Takaful. In terms of how Takaful operators use the fund, how Takaful operators, when the Takaful operator, this is recent, when Takaful operators use their money to fund risk fund, okay, to fund risk fund, there's some the issues in the MFRS, okay, whereby the what we call the cost of fund, or the time value of money is factored in terms of how in terms of the capital given, to this risk fund. This is an advances by the Takaful operator. But in MFRS 9, it is required to record as which is the record of principal plus the cost. Okay, but there are issues whereby the cost is Sharia compliant or not, to be reported as in the as required in MFRS 9. Okay, so that is the issues related to this area. Then regulators, of course, as the regulators, they have two perspectives. Number one, of course, they have some things that govern the activity of the regulators, whereby for example, Bank Negara, we do have Central Bank Act of Malaysia 2009. So that act governs Bank Negara and also give powers to Bank Negara. Okay, so this is the act that they need to follow, and also they do have some standards, international standards, that they need to follow. Okay, for example, in the gaps, I will explain to you on the Basel requirement. Basel requirement, Basel 1, Basel 2, Basel 3. Okay, we don't call it a Basel 1, but it is easy to remember. Basel 2 and Basel 3, how it is affect the requirement from Bank Negara to the banks. Okay, once it is have the the updated or the standardized approach to the bank, so they need to implement, okay, to set the standards, to give the standard setting to banks in Malaysia compared to others. Others abroad. Okay, whereby this bank can be compared. You have practice, for example, we have implemented standardized approach in Basel 3, for example. Okay, so Is your bank is practice Basel III? No, for example. Okay, we do have there are differences in the bank. So the banks that have implemented Basel III approach or standardized approach in Basel III, so they are at par with the bank, international bank outside. So there is a what we call the standard we use to identify which bank is better, which bank is not, which bank is approaching these standards. Okay, then and also that is from regulation perspective, whereby act that that governs these regulators, and also regulators also did issues regulations. Regulators issues regulations to be complied with by the banks, by the players. So, for example, in Bank Negara Malaysia, they issues lots of policies. If I can say, we have Sharia governance policy documents, which is the overarching documents to to operate as Islamic banks, and also Islamic windows and Islamic subsidiary. So in this case, Sharia governance policy document is overarching documents on top of any other documents. And also Bank Negara also issues Sharia contract related policy document, which is they do have about 14 of them, 14 of them issued by Bank Negara. If I can just mention Tawarruk, Mudarabah, Musyarakah, Hibah, Wadi'ah, Kafalah. So they have almost everything, almost, not to say everything, because of there are some contract that they do issue. They have Wakalah. Okay, so they issues regulations. When they issue regulation, it is mandatory for Islamic banks to follow. Okay, so some of the regulation, from my perspective, it is some sort of specific to the application of contract. Okay, specific for that. Then and also they have supervision. Supervision means that they have the team, specific team to monitor the implementation of Islamic banks in Malaysia. So they do have supervision team. Supervision team will come to the bank, make sure the banks implement all the regulation issued by Bank Negara. Okay, and also we do have from financial reporting activities, for example, we do have specific requirement on that particular perspective, whereby Islamic banks or Islamic windows need to make sure that there are specific reporting standards, financial reportings, and also specific reports issued by Sharia committee that is governed, that is required under Sharia governance policy document, and also financial reporting. Okay, so we need to report if any of Sharia non-compliance event occurs in the bank. We do have problems. What is the problem? So there are requirements for the bank to be transparent to all customers and also to the public. Okay. And relevant act and regulation, of course, I mentioned just now on the CBMA, Central Bank Malaysia Act, and also Securities Commission Act, which is give powers to Securities Commission and also Bank Negara on implementing Islamic finance in Malaysia. All right. Okay, so it is a quick one. It is not intention for this evening to this afternoon to look into this in details, but we need to mention that why we have Islamic finance, why we don't just follow conventional banks. You know, there is a requirement. There are requirements. Then we have to look into the composition of Sharia in Islam, whereby we do have Aqidah, Sharia and Akhlaq, we do have fiqh mu'amalat, we do have activities, which is all governs under the rule of Islam. Okay, So that in that particular case, we do have general requirements of Islam, whereby in Islamic finance we do transactions. Okay, there are rule and regulation regarding trading al-bay', for example. They have a rule and regulation on how to appoint others to do jobs, to do something. So there are requirements. So these requirements, we need to understand that it is something that should be implemented. While we have a legal requirement in Malaysia, which is we do have that in, there are, for example, in there are requirements, for example, power of attorney. There are requirements. There are specific tasks, specific activities under legal. Okay, but still we need to assimilate. We need to assess whether it is comply with Sharia or not. Okay, so that is the beauty of Islamic finance, whereby we need to understand everything before we say yes or no. Okay, we need to understand everything. So we need to have people who understand what is deposit is all about. We need we need the people to understand who understand what is sukuk, what is bond. The most primarily, what is bond? If we understand the the behavior of bond activities, of course we understand about sukuk, and then we have to have a clear mind, a clear demarcation between what is allowable and what is not. Okay, so that is the third point, which is halal and haram. Okay, and then for the third point here, halal and haram is most critical thing, because of it is some sort of fardu ain to all of us to understand what is halal and haram. Okay, fiqh mu'amalat will not be so complex if we understand what is halal and haram. Okay, fiqh mu'amalat. So sometimes we jumble up everything. We refer everything to fiqh mu'amalat, whilst we don't have any views. We don't have don't have a complete understanding on what is halal and haram. So that's why in this case there are some issues in terms of purpose. Okay, some issues in terms of the gist, the zat, the I call the explicit terms used. So we do have problem with that because of we don't understand halal and haram. Okay, so if we do understand, if we have what we call a good understanding of that, so we don't have any problem to implement or to exercise our fiqh mu'amalat. Okay, can we sell this? Can we sell that? Can we, that is the question that we need. Can we invest into this particular investment instrument? Can we invest into that? So if we understand that halal and haram, it's not so difficult to answer that particular question. If we don't understand, yes, it is, we mess up everything, we jumble up between the fiqh mu'amalat and also halal and haram, what is good, what we call this thing. So we will encounter problems. Okay? So, and if we can say that point number 2 on the maqasid sharia. Okay, some of us, yes, understand that it is maqasid sharia to serve this preservation, establishment of 5, okay, or 6. Okay, there are opinions that we say 6. Religions, nafs, al-mal, or al-aql, al-mal, and also al-nafs, al-nasal. Okay, so there is we need to understand that this is the interpretation of Islamic jurisprudence or the requirement that are in Islam. Okay, for example, we practice salah because of what, to achieve what. So that is the how we get to maqasid sharia. Okay, we interpret that particular requirement. Okay, so everybody now, even you are not Sharia scholars, you speak about maqasid syariah. Okay, so when we talk about maqasid syariah, you have to make sure that the syariah is there. Okay, sometimes they remove syariah. Sometimes they remove syariah if something else can achieve to that particular purpose. Okay, syariah say that you need to do something, for example, you need to do something to achieve that, but you find out that there are other ways to achieve that, other than syariah advise you to do so. But it is we need to understand. So that is the example of it. Okay, we need to understand that in maqasid syariah, yes, it is a purpose, it is the preservation, the establishment, but we need to make sure that still it has to be tied up to the identity of Islam, tied up to the basic requirement of the contract, for example. Okay, so we will talk about the contract after this when we go through the gaps. Okay, the gaps. That is maqasid syariah. Okay, then of course number 4 here, compliance with specific requirements of nominated contract or put a musamma. We call it as we need to make sure that it is serve that particular purpose, but it is not mandatorily serve that, because of we do have non-nominated contract. Okay, we do have that. Okay, and also there are some emerging contract that, you know, still it is a valid contract, but it is not nominated. Okay, so some of them, because of the needs of the current needs of that particular type of relationships. Okay, that relationship requires some tweak in terms of rukun and also syarat, so that we can achieve the objective, which is not consist of prohibitive element, for example. Okay, so we still have that particular liberty to emerge, to innovate in terms of contract, but we need to observe prohibitive elements. Okay, so because of the prohibitive elements here is the what we call it is in general principle, it is not specific. For example, zalim. Okay, zulm. Okay, as long as you are not force others, okay, not zalim to others, it is permissible. But you need to just look at this zalim from many angles. Okay, sometimes it is not materiality, in terms of not material, but it is zalim in terms of something else. It is zalim in terms of feelings, zalim in terms of mentally or physical. So it is some perspective that we need to consider. Okay, not material per se. Okay, on these particular prohibitive elements. And number 5, of course, we do have purification and also cleansing. And then in Malaysia, it is a little bit different between something is purified. For example, in shares, for example, in purchasing shares, if it is allowable. For example, Securities Commission issued on 29th of May and also 29th of November every year. Okay, for your information, every year Securities Commission of Islamic Capital Market Department will share the list of Sharia non-Sharia compliance counter and also Sharia non-compliance counter. Okay, to public. Okay, so that we can see which counters are Sharia compliant. And there are specific Sharia screening for that particular shares. For example, 5%. Now we have 5 and 20. Last time we have 5, 10, and 20. So now 5 and 20, 5% of that particular company, for example, retailers. Okay, retailers, they do selling liquor for a small amount of selling liquor, for example, not more than 10%, not more than 5%. So they are will considered as Sharia compliant counters. Okay, Sharia compliant counters. Here in Malaysia, if it is Sharia compliant counters, so it is allowable for you to take all the dividends from that particular counters. The dividends, the appreciation of that particular counters. So you have the opportunity to take all. But in Middle East, you need to verify based on percentage. Based on percentage. For example, if it is 3%, you need to purify 3% of your dividend. 3%, even 3%. So it is allowable or not? It is a purification for them. So if it is 10%, it is allowable for you to subscribe, but you need to purify 10%. Okay, based on that particular activity. So you are investing to the halal part of that particular segment, for example. So that is the different. Which both are acceptable. Both are acceptable because of is have passed through the the Sharia authority at their place. So it is Sharia compliant for them. Okay, and for us, this Sharia compliant for us. So we cannot buy more than counters who offers have a business of Sharia non-compliance more than 5%. We cannot buy it totally. Okay, and if we have, we have to dispose all. So that is the difference. We are rigid to some area and we are flexible to some area. Okay, then that is purification and cleansing lah. So from Islamic banking perspective, purification and also cleansing is related to Sharia non-compliance activity. So for example, for financing that are not Sharia compliant, okay, we need to set aside the profit. How much? So that are the some sort of the quantum that we need to justify. Okay, how much to set aside the profit? Can we have can we have from 4%, for example, that particular financing for 4%? Can we take the actual cost of that particular financing, for example? For example, it is 1%, for 1% actual cost. So can we take that actual cost and purify another 3? If it is cost of 2%, can we have 2? Then purify another 2. So that is the base of how we do things. And this one is discussed in Sharia committee meetings, and there are decisions. They are not, Bank Negara is Sharia Advisory Council of Bank Negara give the liberty to Sharia committee of each bank, if it's Islamic bank, to decide on this. So they have debates, deliberate, and then they have decision. The decision will be escalated to Sharia Advisory Council of Bank Negara. Okay, so this is the quick one. The quick one is within 15 minutes. All right. So do you want to continue or just we can look at the questions? Prof, we extend the Q&A at the back.
Okay. Maybe we extend the Q&A at the back.
Okay. Let me first finish my slides overall, then we can ask questions. Okay. All right. All right. So here is some of the areas that we need to look into. Okay. All right. Issues. Okay. When we talk about issues, we need to understand what we do. Okay. If there are gaps, yes, it is issues. If it is no gaps, it is still acceptable. Okay. So we need to understand areas of implementation. Okay, number one, we are focusing on governance, okay, whereby there are Sharia committees and functions of all organs in the bank, in Islamic banks. Okay, for example, we have a board of directors deciding on matters related to implementation of Sharia in the bank. So we have board of directors. This explicitly mentioned in Sharia governance policy documents, the responsibility of board of directors. And also we do have management. What are the responsibilities of management? We do have, so based on that, based on Sharia committee, board of directors and management, there are always potential of conflict, okay, between the board, Sharia committee, and also management. The management said it is not a Sharia non-compliant issue. The board said it is not because of, you know, board owning the bank, you know, representing the shareholders of the bank. Of course, they will look into this thoroughly. And of course, from Sharia committee perspective, if we declare that it is Sharia issues, we need to discuss, we need to view from Sharia perspective. Okay, so there are always a room for conflict, okay, in that particular manner. So that's why management need to understand the function of Sharia committee. Board need to understand the function of Sharia committee. Sharia committee need to understand the function of board. So everybody need to know each other's responsibilities, so that the what we call the local standard of Sharia committee is preserved. Okay, so can Sharia committee decided that for example, this product is not Sharia compliant, the management want to sell this product, so can Sharia committee say that it is not Sharia compliant? Yes, the Sharia committee can say that. So how in the bank, in the Sharia committee can say that Sharia committee is, you know, their allowance is paid by the bank, okay? But how this Sharia committee can say that? They need to say that because of they have to do as the Sharia governance policy document ask them to do. They need to view from Sharia perspective. And if it is not how we want to use it, when it is, you need to have alternative lah. Okay, it is not merely you say that it is no. This is riba, this is no, this is riba. So how we want to do it? So they need to have some ideas on how to move the bank forward. So in this case, there are parties involved. Sometimes parties involved is not the issues is the awareness of each other's function. Okay, the awareness, the management, the staff, the middle class, the middle management. So they need to understand. Okay, sometimes they are good in their area. For example, credit, legal, corporate strategy. They have their competency in their area, but sometimes they are lack of understanding of basic Sharia requirement. So that is the issues that we can say that it is can lead the bank to be compliance or lead the bank to be non-compliance to the Sharia requirements. Then the second one is on the conflict resolution. So from the understanding of each other's function, so we need to have a conflict resolution between the bank, between the board of directors and Sharia committee. Sometimes there are practices in the bank. There are occasions, there are events, there are incidences whereby the Sharia committee decided it is not Sharia compliant. Then it is tabled to the board. The board say no, it is Sharia compliant. Go back and discuss. The decision is go back and discuss in Sharia committee. Sharia committee need to re-deliberate on that. Okay, so Sharia committee pun deliberate on that particular issues and still come up with this is Sharia non-compliant and go back to the board. Sometimes board still they go back to Sharia committee. So there are incidences in the bank. Okay, so of course this bank is not declaring these incidences to the public, but it is okay, it is incidences. So when sometimes the Sharia committee say yes, it is Sharia compliant. Okay, at the end, because of sometimes it's about understanding the product, sometimes it's about understanding the Sharia requirement. So that's why we need to have a strong Sharia committee members, and with experience, of course, with that particular experience, they have experience in other financial institution, for example, so that they can bring up to this particular institution. So the decision of Sharia committee can, it is more accurate, more solid to to encounter any conflict from others. Okay, any contention from others. So that is the idea of conflict resolution in the bank. And also in the bank, from governance perspective, we do have something new now, which is the functions of Sharia other than Sharia department. Sharia department is focusing on advisory, how you do it. Okay, how you do it, how you do product for personal financing, how you do sukuk. We do have Sharia departments. How we do venture capital, how we do unit trust, how we do takaful. So there are Sharia departments will advise on that. And also we have other departments also. For example, Sharia risk management. For example, we do have Sharia review department. We do have Sharia audit. Okay. So there are functions, internal control functions that preserve the the compliance element in the bank. Okay, that preserve that. So for example, Sharia committee have decided this is the requirement for deposits, for example. These are the requirement for financing. For any financing of the bank should do this. Okay, who will make sure that the first line of defense, of course, Sharia department. Okay, we need to have the ideas, the requirement, and interpret into the practice. And then second line of defense, which is Sharia review and Sharia risk management, whereby what they do, they need to make sure the process of compliance embed into the activities of the bank. Okay, for example, how to make sure that trading for tawarruk, for example, is executed. How to make sure that Sharia committee decided any financing to the customers should be traded using bursa, for example. Should be traded using bursa. Trade it first, then you give the money to the customer. Okay, trade through. So that is the requirement from Sharia committee. Sharia department, what they do, they advise that we need to make sure that this at this flow, you need to have execution of trading tawarruk. Then who will ensure, who will put more control? There are checklists. Okay, for example, so that they are Sharia risk management to foresee that particular, to anticipate any non-compliance. Okay, so they are looking forward, they are forward looking, then they implement, or they place the control in that particular process. And also Sharia review, post implementation review. After a while, they will come and check whether this is correct or not. Then we have a reasonable confirmation from Sharia audit on the practices of that particular product. So that's why we do have something new. They have internal control functions introduced in 2004, if I'm not mistaken, introduced in 2010 in Malaysia. We do have Sharia governance framework for Islamic financial institution at that point of time, 2010, they issued the requirement. Then all the banks need to establish Sharia risk management, Sharia review, and also Sharia audit in the bank. And then from governance perspective, of course, we do have reports and attestation from Sharia committee. So for research purpose, you can refer to the reports by Sharia committee. Then we can, analyze their reports. We can identify what are the products involved in the Sharia non-compliance event. For example, how much their Sharia non-compliance income, what they do, what they do in terms of training, what they do in terms of their effort to comply with the Sharia requirement. Okay, so this is under governance. Okay, on the contract, as I mentioned just now, Bank Negara issues 14 policy documents on Sharia contract. So issues on the implementation of this particular contract is big because of nobody knows. Okay, nobody knows how we implement in other banks. Okay, for example, maybe in Bank Islam, for example, I have experience in Bank Islam. I have experience in BSN. I don't know what are the practices in other banks. Okay, so that is limited to this particular organization only. So that's why there are challenges in terms of identifying how the banks do this. Okay, and also the decision from Sharia committee to Sharia committee of other banks is different. Okay, is different. So that's why we need to, to have some standards, and Bank Negara did have some standard on decision making, and also they introduced Sharia contract policy documents to standardize the decision. Okay, because of we are not, yes, we have in practices, we do have people who are extreme right, and also we have people at extreme left. So in this case, we can have decision, if from Sharia perspective, if we do have kata qila in any of the the kitab, we can pick it. No. Okay, so that's why Bank Negara comes with protection, come with the guidance, come with standards, so that we have to follow the Jumhur. Okay, follow the Jumhur decision on that particular practices. So product related to concept and also documentation, there are being issues in documentation, how you document things. And then this is the challenges that we have because of documents is drafted by various legal firms in Malaysia, for example. Legal firm, they have their own mazhab. So that's why this is the challenges. Legal firm, they have their own mazhab. This legal firm allow this legal firm is not allowed this because of they have their principles. They have their own mazhab in that particular sense. Okay, so number 2 is on the compliance to policy document issued by Bank Negara. In this particular contract, we do have tawarruk, for example. Tawarruk consists of almost 90% of activities in the bank. Tawarruk now, okay, and this is the most common contract, okay, or concept implemented for in the bank. Okay, so now issues raised is heavy reliance to tawarruk, heavy reliance. So what we need to do is to explore new contracts, explore new if it is not nominated, it is new concept to implement, to achieve what is the purpose of financing, for example. What is the purpose of investment, for example. So we need to have new innovation in terms of contract. Okay, so if it is new, of course it attract issues. Okay, because of it is new. Okay, so that is the challenges in terms of contract. the implementation of contract, if it is implemented according to its requirements, so it will be a plain vanilla contract. Murabaha is murabaha, which is you should disclose the cost, you should disclose the profit. So it is a plain vanilla murabaha. So how we can put some innovation to that particular murabaha to serve the purpose of the needs of the industry. Okay, so that is the challenges that we have, the gaps that we need to explore in terms of contract. Okay, so there are lots of contract. So for example, if I can say for istisna, okay, istisna financing, merely it is, if it is under development things, under development, house under development, it is called istisna. Okay? But in terms of implementation, sometimes we do have a concept of ideal concept of parallel istisna, whereby the customer comes to the bank to request for a house, then the bank requests from the developer the house. So there are parallel istisna, there are rules, okay, there are rukun and syarat for each particular contract. But there are some issues in the capacity of the bank. Can the customer request to the bank, then the bank don't have the capacity to build out the house. Okay, don't have the capacity to build the house because of the bank is a bank. They don't, they don't turn into developer. They don't have the requirement to become one. They don't have the license. They don't have the, the capacities, the expertise. They don't have that. So in that case, it is acceptable? Is it acceptable from Sharia perspective? You request to someone who don't have any capacity to do that. So there are challenges in that particular case. Okay, challenges. So it is ideally correct, the structure. However, in terms of implementation, they do have issues. Okay, so if we go directly to the purpose, for example, the purpose of tawarruk, personal financing, can people make a personal financing to go for gambling, for example? To go for gambling, okay, make apply for personal financing, and then it is stated clearly in the application form, I want to go to gamble as a capital in Genting, for example. It's specifically mentioned. We don't require that, but it is specifically mentioned. Okay, that is the issues surrounding the retail customers. Okay, and then issues pertaining to commercial customers. For example, a leasing company, they do have some sort of terms in their contract mentioning on the interest if the customer didn't pay, for example. Okay, they are mentioned that. Okay, but for Islamic, it is not allowable. The leasing is still valid, but it is some sort of syarat batil. Syarat batil. The condition is not enforceable. Okay, not enforceable. There are some issues. So we need to identify this syarat batil in all the transactions in the the commercial transaction that we have. Okay, so that is the areas for, if we can establish that. And even for BSN, we do have some issues in terms of third party agreements. Okay, third party agreements, for example, outsourcing agreements. Okay, so there are some terms not in compliance to the Sharia requirement. For example, imposing some interest in terms of non-payment. So that is the what we call the challenges that we have. Okay, in terms of commercial or third party documents, third party agreements. So there are issues. Okay, so it is not to say that we are, we need to have a we may do have a contract that is Sharia compliant, but there are areas there are areas other than product and services. For example, third party just now, outsourcing agreements, how we perform. Islamic banks now, all Islamic banks have cards, for example, credit cards. But is the agreement between the bank and Visa, for example, is Sharia compliant? Okay, that is challenges that we have because of Visa is a big company, so we need them. So some sort of if we review their documents where we don't agree with it, we don't agree with that, so they can say that it is take it or leave it. Okay, so that is the challenges that some of the Islamic bank has in terms of this, because of the whole structure is not sometimes it's not Sharia friendly. Okay, sometimes it's not Sharia friendly. Okay, all right. So that is the second one. The third one is on the pricing formula. Okay, this is lots of research be done in value of money, how we can factor in pricing formula. Pricing formula for Islamic bank is just a formula. Okay, it's just a formula. It will be based on what contract do we use. Okay, if it is sale contract, it is referred as sale price. Okay, this is pricing formula. Okay, sometimes it is when we call it ijarah, it is a rental. Okay, so sometimes we do consider, factor in some time value of money. There are elements of inflation. There are implements of so we do that. Okay, why? Because of we do have underlying contract that is mubah, that is permissible that we have. Okay, so and also we do have issues on SOD, sum of digit, rule 78 CRR, and the way we calculate things now, we do have fixed and floating rate. Issues in floating rate, of course, we do have a ceiling. We do have a ceiling sale price. Ceiling means that we contracted the sale price at 10%, but the effective financing rate is 4%, for example. So that is the challenges that we have now. Whether it is allowable to have a fixed or we call a floating to sale contract, or we are not. Okay, because of in terms of behavior, ijarah have the floating elements of it. Okay, we can move rental at any point of time based on the agreement. If it is 6 months, 6 months. If it is 1 year, every year we can revise the rental payment because of its total float elements in the ijarah. Okay, so that is the issues in terms of pricing formula calculation. Sometimes when we do recognize profit first, we do recognize we accrue profits first. So that is the challenges that we have. The system that we have, of course, sometimes we are riding on the same system that conventional has, but still we need to have we need to make sure that no additional profit to be imposed. We are the profit imposed is based on the contracted agreements between the customer. So that is the challenges that we have in terms of pricing formula. Okay, as I mentioned just now, the purpose of the product and services business. Okay, can a gambling company open an account in Islamic banks? Okay, gambling company open a current account with Islamic banks. There are issues. Okay, so it depends on type of business. Can a liquor company open an account? Can a liquor company apply for financing, for example? That is the purpose of the product. Apply for financing. Can this one is most recent one? Can a liquor company apply for financing that is mandated from the government through Islamic financial institution? Okay, for example, the government have mandated during COVID all the companies are eligible to get some financing from the bank. Okay? So is insurance agent, for example, insurance agents company can apply for financing using Islamic contract, Islamic financing, in accepting grant or government assistance, financial assistance to that particular company. So there are lots of issues in that. Then defining halal and haram business, what is the ratios? For commercial, we can do because of there are financial statements available for them. But for retails, you know, for micro, nano financing, micro financing, there are some challenges, okay, limitation on that particular area. So we need to define the percentage, you know, some of them is not maintaining proper financial records. So that are the challenges that we have. Then cooperate and do not cooperate, I take from وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. So al-ithmi there is refers to something that munkar, that it is not allowable, non-permissible. It is so can we provide the you know, the systems, the current account, the payment system? Can we onboard them into our e-wallet? Can we onboard them into our payment system, EBs, you know, e-banker that we have, so that they can use our system, use our payment system to, you know, to facilitate their business. So that are the challenges that we have in this, the gaps that we have in purpose of product and services. Bank Negara, of course, in Islamic Financial Services Act mentioned clearly that we need to make sure that all our business affairs and activities are Sharia compliant at all times. So that is the challenges that we need to have in the Islamic financial institution, including Islamic windows. Okay. Then challenges in risk and capital management. I said just now is on Basel 1, 2, and 3, Basel 2 and 3. Then you know, Basel, it is long story. Okay, make it story short. The Basel 3 requirements encompass to market risk, credit risk, and operational risk. So operational risk include Sharia risk management. Operational risk include Sharia risk management. So that is the challenges that we have now in terms of to make Sharia risk at par with the operational risk implemented in the bank, so that you know, it is not so-called Sharia risk is left behind. You know, they don't have any what we call any issues, any tools in term of implementing the Sharia control in the bank. So not all banks have complied with the standardized approach in Basel 3 requirement, because of it involves internal capital adequacy framework, and also stress testing, scenario analysis. You know, there are lots of tools that we need to have in terms of assessment, and also lagging and leading key risk indicator, for example. So there are lots of things that issues in terms of implementation in the bank. Okay, and then CAFID here is capital adequacy framework for Islamic banks. There are lots of you know, it is available in website of Bank Negara. CAFID capital adequacy framework, and also there are standard setting bodies issues capital adequacy framework as well. For example, Islamic International IFSB, Islamic Finance International Finance. It is Islamic Finance Services Board. okay, IFSB. Then there are issues, lots of standards in terms of implementation of risk management related activities. Then okay, that is for risk management and capital management. Then accounting standards, we have issues. MFRS issued by MASB. MFRS should be able to harmonize between products and also understanding of Sharia contract and the effect of that particular contract to the accounting standards, accounting treatment of the bank. All right. Okay, the last one. There are lots more, but just limited to that. In terms of international trade, okay, international trade, trade finance issued by the bank, which is offered by the bank. We do have a UCP 600, Uniform Customary Practices 600. And also Incoterms, the articles, the 39 articles in the UCP 600. So there are challenges whereby this is the how we marry this with Sharia compliance or Sharia contract, which is in the article. Some of the article mentioned that this assessment is based on papers, okay, but for murabaha, of course, it's related to the existence of the asset, okay. So there are some issues in terms of how we make these 39 articles in the UCP 600 comply with Sharia requirement. And we started trade finance in Bank Islam at early days. You know, our Sifu Ismail Mahyuddin have clearly, you know, has introduced the contract of wakala and also murabaha in letter of credit, for example, and also murabaha in working capital financing, you know, accepted bill, trust receipt. So there are lots of contract, a lot of product that have been, you know, Islamized in terms of the imposition of interest in that particular sense. So in terms of international trade, we do have some issues in terms of implementation. All right. So basically, I have covered the gaps. Okay. And we just can go to this. Just to mention that there are Sharia issues in terms of Sharia issues deliberated in Sharia Advisory Council of Bank Negara. There are two parts here. All right. Okay, I need to move this. All right. Any question? So can we have a question first?
Inshallah, you can ask any questions directly. Maybe after the presentation, Ustaz Anwar.
After presentation, all right.
Inshallah.
All right. Okay. Okay. So these are some issues. We'll not tend to go through everything in these sessions so that we can need. But in this case, there are issues discussed at the Sharia Advisory Council of Bank Negara. In the resolution of Sharia Advisory Council, we do have issues in terms of mudarabah, musyarakah, tawarru, bay'un aina, hibah, kafala, you know, qard, ta'wid, and also ibra, wa'ad. So we do have issues in terms of implementation of this particular contract. Okay, so we can just refer to this because of this document available in Bank Negara regulations standards for Islamic financial institutions, and then you just type resolution. So they will come out to resolution in terms of issued by Bank Negara. Okay. And conclusions, takeaways. Of course, requires innovation in terms of product and services, but innovation will trigger issues because of it is innovation and creates room for improvement. So we need to identify the issues, and also we can suggest for improvement for that particular implementation. So we need to have access to the information so that we can compare with the requirements and propose for improvement. Okay, that is number one. Number two, Islamic finance should serve needs of mankind. Okay, now we are trying to do what we are trying to do in 1983 at that point of time is to replicate Sharia contract or of financing, for example, replicate products of conventional to serve Islamic. Okay, to serve to Islamic, to Muslims, to a Muslim at that point of time. Now it has been changed. We need to have a product to serve the mankind needs of mankind. So it is total changes because of what a human needs. Human needs a proper house, for example. Human needs basic needs, yeah, the basic needs of daruriyat, which is the house, which is food. Okay, so what can we do in terms of serving these needs of human at this point of time? Okay, that's why, you know, Islamic banking emerged to introduce financial inclusion, Islamic social finance to serve that particular needs. Okay, so during COVID, serve that particular needs. So now, so after COVID, post-COVID, what's the Malaysian needs? For example, what the Ummah needs at this point of time? They need to have a stable income, steady income to build up their life. Okay, they need to have debt management system, for example. Okay, to manage their previous debt, and then you know, to assist them to move forward. They need to have financial literature knowledge at this point of time, so that they can manage their financial efficiently. So that is the requirement that the people needs in terms of that. So Islamic finance should serve on that particular needs. Sukuk, you issue sukuk to serve what purpose? So the purpose of issuing sukuk is, you know, is determined. That's why, you know, you can see now people once issue sukuk, they will determine whether it is SDG compliant or not, ESG compliant or not, green technology, green areas or not. So that is the purpose, because of people now focusing on purpose. Okay, so Islamic finance should do the same. We should focus on purpose instead of we are keep replicating you know, conventional just to have for the sake of we do have also. So it is the challenges that we need to have we need to overcome. Then the challenge number one, of course, lack of leaders. Currently we do have talent. We do have talent to work as a workforce. We do have that. Okay, but we don't have leaders. We don't have thinkers. We don't have combo-minded. Combo-minded means that, for example, our ustaz, our Sharia advisors, our scholars need to have another field of expertise. For example, accounting. Need to understand accounting. Need to understand, you know, finance. Needs to understand legal, for example. We should have a combo of scholars, okay, so that they can, you know, they can blend this information, these areas with Sharia, to make to offer solutions for Islamic finance. So that is the lacking of current, and also what's next more to come. For example, this even cryptocurrency, we take years to issue the Sharia requirement for cryptocurrency. Okay, we take years after Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum. So they have lots of things happens that our scholars sometimes, ma yaribuka ila ma la yaribuk, just let the the things be, please don't involve in this because of it is vague, it is ambiguity, full of ambiguity. So that is the challenges that we need to have, we need to overcome. Okay, the challenges, the limitations. Sometimes it is a limitation from our scholars. Okay, so we need to go as a group instead of individual. So so scholars, if you don't if we, of course, we feel that we are not incompetent as others, but we need to push ourselves to master as many discipline that we need to offer solutions for the next. Okay, for the next. And then the final one, of course, financial technology. Okay, financial technology, we are talking about fintech, we are talking about smart contract. Okay, we are talking about apps, we are talking about something, so that is the challenges that we need to be ready to embrace, so that we are not considered as non-flexible. Okay, of course, in this case, Islamic finance is a faith driven activity in finance. Okay, faith driven activity. So we need to keep our iman to implement this. Of course, when we do things, we need to refer to the scholars. Okay, you need to give tasawwur for them to understand the the idea of it. Sometimes it requires time. Okay, it requires time, but innovation don't have time. Okay, innovation don't have time. We need to be ahead of this the changes that we need in terms of the requirements. We need to prepare on that. Okay, the requirements, we need to understand the principle truly. Okay, in terms of moving forward. Okay, so that's all from me. Maybe we can look into question, Prof.
Terima kasih. Thank you very much. Jazakumullah khairan katsiran kepada Ustaz Anwar Ilyas for giving us a very comprehensive lecture on the current Sharia issues in Islamic finance. I have learned a lot today from Ustaz Anwar, and I'm sure all of you also have learned a great deal from today's Islamic finance lecture series. We have, from my observation, we have audience comprising of our PhD students, mostly from Indonesia, and master students also, and undergraduate students, besides the lecturers. And hopefully we have a general audience also. Okay, sekali lagi kita ucapkan terima kasih kepada Ustaz Anwar Ilyas yang telah memberikan syarahan yang agak komprehensif within the limited time, 1 jam, lebih kurang 1 jam setengah. Tapi agak menyeluruh. Baik, insyaAllah kita ada masa lebih kurang setengah jam lagi untuk Q&A. First, I will read the questions from the chat box, and then later on, I will give this opportunity to our students, our PhD students. Please ask questions. We have many PhD students who are lecturers from many institutions and universities in Indonesia. And we have master students who are working in the sector, some of them in the banking sector. Jadi kita ada ramai pakar di sini sebagai audience, ya. But let me read first question from Bu Tuti from Indonesia.
Assalamualaikum.
You can ask directly if you like, or
No. You can.
okay. Bu Tuti is here. She's our PhD student.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bu Tuti, you ask very difficult questions.
No, it's
Okay. The first question. Islamic banks in Malaysia have services in the form of borrowing cash money, then the funding.
funding.
Okay, I'm confused about the question.
No, is a Malaysian bank
Hmm.
provide services in term of the cash rather than funding? Because in here in Indonesia, many people still think that Islamic banking it's not providing cash but more to funding, while the public needs sometimes borrowing money in cash rather than funding. So is Malaysian bank, Islamic Malaysian bank provide the cash
You're
or
talking
also funding?
about personal financing, right?
Yeah, personal financing.
Okay.
Mhm.
So the question is there any personal financing offered by Islamic banks in Malaysia?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, so inshallah Ustaz Anwar will answer.
Okay, Bu Tuti,
Yeah.
it is personal financing is widely offered by Islamic banks in Malaysia. Okay, whereby we are using tawarruk arrangement to provide some cash, which is dealing with commodity purchase and selling in terms of tawarruk. Okay, so the tawarruk is for profit, some sort of arrangement that provide profits to the bank, whereby they also arrangement court financing, which is 0% at 0%. So that court financing is offered through instruments under Islamic social finance. Okay, that is 0%. Then also we do have some grants in our social finance from sadaqah and also contributions from public. So that is the grant which is cash for micro financing. Micro financing for micro entrepreneur, they have the specific fund for them to apply in case of cash shortage. Okay, so if they require working capital at that point of time, they can apply. So there are some avenue for them to apply for that particular financing, and mostly personal financing is offered to all Malaysian and also Malaysian to provide cash for any of the purpose. So I'm saying just now that I said just now that personal financing, if the personal financing is to be used to a Sharia non-compliance activity. So what are the issues? So that is the issues of Islamic finance. So there are limited purpose, of course, for the halal purpose, and that halal purpose is embedded into the term and condition in that particular agreement with the customer.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right.
Okay, so the second question is what is the most effective activities to build public awareness about Islamic banks, to create awareness among the publics about the obligations, especially the obligations of Muslims, especially to use Islamic banks. What is the most effective way to create awareness?
It is, which is of course, when it's about the knowledge and also the awareness, we need to start early. Okay, so now we have activities in the primary school. Okay, even primary and secondary school related to financial literature. Okay, some financial knowledge management. So that is the earliest that we can have. So even in Quran that mentioned, it tell us to test our sons, test our kids on how they manage money. Okay, to set them at the, for example, at the rush to what we call to test them, to gauge their knowledge, their capacity to be considered as rushed, okay, manageable, if able to manage the financial at their own. Okay, so we need to test them. So it is as early as you know, maybe 7 years, 8 years. We need to test them. We need to go. We need to give their the knowledge for them, and this build up the generations. So this that is the most effective activity. But however, okay, if we miss out some generation, so this is the time whereby there are some generation that, you know, not in the capacity to manage their money, for example. So that is the challenges that we have now. Okay, so it is prolonged learning. Okay, long life learning on this public awareness on Islamic finance. And then of course all of us are the agents of da'wah, da'i, to escalate the knowledge for others, all of us. Okay, so that is the obligation, the responsibility for the people who have knowledge. Okay, so we need to have to convey this message to others.
Thank you. So Prof, what Mr. Anwar says is actually answering my thesis. Yeah.
Oh, you're using this.
Yeah, he said using agent of education and also teaching for the children. It means, you know, my determination on the what's that factors of adoption, moderating agent object is valid.
So you're using this IFLS to validate
It's valid.
your thesis.
No need to continue. I already PhD now.
Okay. Okay, so the next question
Thank
is,
you. Thank you.
So Wututi and others, all of you need to be da'i. So we are we are as students of Islamic finance. There are people out there, even among the Muslims, who are still are not aware and are confused between Islamic banking, Islamic finance, and conventional ones. So it is I mean, the level of understanding to me is still very low. So for all of us, so this is a challenge for all of us, lecturers, students of Islamic finance, to continue to, you know, disseminate information. And this is one of them, one of the ways.
Right.
Okay, the third question. So Bututi, you have too many questions.
Because I didn't see any other question. You know, we have to utilize Mr. Annual here. You know?
Fauzi, why don't you ask question?
All right, it's okay. Maybe we can have question on this Islamic window.
Yeah,
Okay.
very important.
And Islamic windows is some sort of a function of Islamic in a conventional bank. Okay, in a conventional bank. Ambiguous, it is not, because of there are clear demarcations between, in terms of capital, in terms of Sharia governance, there are clear demarcation. It depends on, and also we do have separate books. Okay, we do have separate books for Islamic and also conventional. So that is the line draws between Islamic window and also its what we call it's primate lah, kita katakan it is the induk, okay, induk. Okay, so it is different. We have a specific demarcation because of we have two books. We have books for Islamic, we have books for conventional for the bank. Okay, so for the bank it is accumulated amount between Islamic and its conventional, but they don't have any conventional book per se, but they do have books for Islamic. So that is the beauty of it. So, but we do have some challenges and limitation. Okay, because of we need to have you know, in terms of initiative, we need to, you know, to bring to management committee. The challenges is the management committee is a conventional bank management committee. So that is the challenges. How to convince them that it is this is good for us. The debate is not on the Sharia contract. The debate is on the cost of COI, of ROI, of you know, the profit. Can the bank make profit of this? Okay, so that is the challenges. So it is to say it is ambiguous, I'm not agree with it, but you know, because of we do have clear demarcation between Islamic and also conventional.
Okay, thank you, Ustaz Anwar. I now open other questions. You can either type in the chat box or you can unmute and ask directly. Boleh tanya dalam bahasa Melayu, bahasa Indonesia atau bahasa Inggeris. Bahasa Arab pun boleh tanya. Silakan. Ustaz Ilyas. Silakan, kita ada masa lebih kurang 13 minit lagi.
Assalamualaikum Doktor.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi. Ada apa Ustaz Ilyas?
Ada Doktor, pagi kena menyambut lah. Firstly, I'm very appreciate lah and excited with Ustaz Anwar punya presentation. My beloved neighbor.
Okay.
Tiap hari angkat tangan, dia pergi hantar anak pergi sekolah. Berselisih dia naik kereta, kita naik motor. Tapi hari ni dia cakap orang putih Doktor.
Oh, dia orang putih boleh, Arab pun boleh.
Itulah. Ustaz Anwar, just to get your view or opinion about kita tengok kalau bank conventional, the objective is to fulfill the high profit, but Islamic banking we try to share the profit, right? Tapi kalau kita tengok both bank Islamic and conventional still focus on risiko, so to give a financing to golongan yang memerlukan still meletakkan risiko, sedangkan golongan B40 juga memerlukan pembiayaan. So apa pandangan Ustaz Anwar, sebagai bank Islam sepatutnya memberikan lebih peluang ataupun membantu golongan yang memerlukan? Jazakallah khair, Dr. Jazakallah khair, Ustaz Anwar.
Okay, baik. Kita kena tengok daripada perspektif yang berbeza, which is number one, the purpose of a company, Islamic Bank is a company, is to generate profit. Okay, to generate profit. Number two, of course, Islamic banks have the requirements to be fulfilled. For example, just now I've explained on the CAFID, and also the Basel III requirement, which is involve market and credit risk. Credit risk means that what is the possibilities of the customer to, what is the capacity, the risk that the customer has in terms of ability to pay the debt to the bank. Okay, so that is credit risk. So banks is governed with all the requirements on credit risk. Okay, so B40 is high risk, is considered as high risk. So that's why if the bank want to use its commercial fund to finance this segment, which is B40, the bank has to allocate some fund in terms of, if the customer didn't pay, the bank need to provide some fund. Provide means that if we give financing of 10,000, okay, 10,000. If the customer fail to pay, the bank need to set aside 10,000 because of the customer. If the customer don't pay, the bank will have what we call a stable condition that with that particular allocation. So we need to allocate, we need to provide. So the term is provide, provisions. So if we provide, so now we are losing 20,000 because of we need to provide. If the customer don't pay, we need to say that we have the fund. So that in terms of capital requirement and also the credit risk requirement, this particular B40 customer is really high risk because of we need to have to maintain some level of non-performing, non-performing financing, okay, at certain level acceptable to Bank Negara Malaysia. So we have some challenges there, but in terms of B40, okay, and also ASNAF or whatever, so that's why Islamic financial institutions collaborate together to have Islamic social finance. So that is to replace the needs of high risk segment itself. So that is the purpose of it. The purpose of Islamic social finance, also financial inclusion, to take care of this particular segment. Okay, so that's why for example, industry NPF, Islamic non-performing financing. So for industry level, micro financing is the highest NPF, micro financing. Because of what? Because of the ability to pay, and also the high risk segmentation that it is covered. Because of it is not to say that the banks don't want to give financing for this. They are tight requirement, yes, because of the rule is high risk for pricing. For pricing, of course, for high risk, it is high return. Okay, high risk, high return. So the price, the rate for this particular customer is very high. So that's why we need to have another fund from contributors, from donors, to fund this B40. Even if we want to give financing for subsidized rate, we can do that because of we are not using commercial rates, commercial fund from the banks. So it is separate fund. So we need to establish those funds to finance this the needs of others. Okay.
Thank you very much, Ustaz Anwar. One last question. Silakan. Kita bagi peluang kepada pelajar-pelajar degree seorang. Kalau boleh ada soalan.
Silakan.
Jangan takut.
Nanti kena buat face to face ni, doktor.
Kena buat face to face ni nanti insya-Allah. Akan datang kita buat face to face pula. Insya-Allah.
When student Indonesia come to Kedah, ya, we can see Mr. Anwar.
Ya, insya-Allah. Insya-Allah.
Saya face to face kena pergi rumah tuan guru lah.
Boleh. Nanti saya masak ni nasi berani.
Ahlan wa sahlan insya-Allah. Tak jumpa lagi.
Baik, kalau tidak ada soalan, mungkin saya bagi peluang kepada Ustaz Anwar untuk kita membuat sedikit rumusan untuk program kita tentang tajuk kita pada hari ini. Silakan.
Terima kasih Prof. Dr. Yusof and Dr. Tahir and others. Then this is the long life learning on this Islamic finance, because of the emerging rates of Islamic finance is too fast, and also we requires innovations, we requires new things, new chapter, okay, of Islamic finance. We do have Islamic social finance nowadays. It is triggered somewhere in 2016, 2017, whereby this is coordinated funding and also serving the purpose of the needs of the society. And what's next in Islamic finance, of course, will be, we need to be ready on that. And then currently we do have fintech. We do have something that, you know, sometimes if we don't understand, it is very challenges to embrace, very challenges to comprehend. And if we cannot comprehend this, of course, we cannot be part of the solutions. So in this case, we need to take challenges, try to become leaders, thinkers, and also have this combo-minded, discipline that we need to consider ourselves as pillars, as you know, contributors to Islamic finance. Even though our Professor Dr. Yusof, located in Kuala Ketil, Kedah, still can contribute to the Islamic finance world as a whole. So do we, okay, wherever we are. So we can contribute, we can to give, you know, at the least of giving others knowledge and also proper understanding of Islamic finance, and also conveying to others that Islamic finance is the way forward. So it is our responsibility. So thank you very much for this opportunity to share. Then hope we'll have the opportunity to meet each other, inshallah. So thank you for all. Thank you, Unisham. Thank you, Saiful, for the invitation. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much. Terima kasih. Jazakumullah khairan katsira kepada Ustaz Anwar Ilyas yang telah memberikan perkongsian yang sangat-sangat berguna I hope we all learned a lot today, and may Allah bless us all. Before we end this Islamic finance lecture series, I would like to make one announcement. Inshallah, we will have Unisham Cypher International Conference 2022 using online. The date is 23rd to 24th November, and all PhD students and master students are required, wajib, wajib. They are required to present, and the deadline is on the 17th of next month to register and to submit abstract and video, inshallah. So semua wajib. Inshallah, we will meet again in the next Islamic Finance Lecture Series. Sekali lagi saya ucapkan terima kasih, jazakumullah khairan katsira, terutama kepada Ustaz Anwar Ilyas sebagai penceramah kita pada kali ini. Saya juga mengucapkan terima kasih kepada semua pensyarah-pensyarah Cypher yang memberi sokongan. Semua pelajar-pelajar daripada pelajar PhD, pelajar masters, pelajar degree dan pelajar diploma, dan kepada general audience juga yang join dan memberi support. InsyaAllah semua yang register akan diberikan, you'll be awarded a certificate of certification, dan juga akan diberikan apa lagi itulah dan akan diberikan juga video rakaman. Video rakaman ini untuk mungkin untuk kita boleh view lagi sekali, sebab sebahagian daripada materials tu agak heavy, jadi mungkin kena melihat beberapa kali untuk faham, insya-Allah. Jadi kita tangguhkan Islamic Finance Lecture Series dengan membaca Tasbih Kafarah dan Suratul Asr.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wal asri innal insana lafi khusr amanu wa salatu wa tawasaw haqq wa tawasaw. Subhanallahi wa bihamdika asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okey. Terima kasih semua. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, everyone.
Terima kasih.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Jazakallahu khair. Hayakumullah.